First I will cut this 1 cm thick board to get a long piece and a short piece. Now I rip both pieces so they are slightly narrower than half the width of the pieces. Like this I get two identical pieces to make the sides of the box. And I also get two identical pieces to make the front and the back of the box. But first I join the edges of all four pieces. Now I will use this jig to cross-cut the end of the pieces at a 45 degrees angle. In the description of this video you can find the link to watch how I made this woodworking jig. Here we can see how, sometimes, the wood jumps, as I mentioned when I made the jig. But in this case it jumps because I move the jig back before I finish the cut. I sand the cuts, and now I can glue the pieces. Some pieces of painter's tape will help to keep the pieces together before I use the strap clamp. And now I can use the strap clamp, and I relocate the joints if needed. I clean the excess of glue. I make sure I have 90 degrees angles, and I let the glue dry. And here I have these miter joints. It is the first time I make these joints, so not bad. Now I put the box on this board. The board must protrude 1 mm the long side and the short side of the box. And I use a pencil to mark the dimensions of the box. And I do the same in the other end of the board. And now I cut 1 mm away from the lines. Like this I make sure the top and the bottom of the box will be some wider and some longer than the box. And I glue the top and the bottom, making sure they protrude all around the box. And I let the glue dry. Now I use gross grit sandpaper to sand the edges of both, the top and the bottom, until they are flush with the box. It takes me some time, but like this the top and the bottom fit perfect. Now I use these 1 cm thick strips to set the height of cut in my splinter meter jig. The top of the disc must be slightly below this corner. I set the jig so I can cut at some centimeters from the corner, and I cut all 4 corners. Now I turn the box like this, and I cut all 4 corners. Now I want to cut in the middle of the corners. but later this will be the lid of the box, so I'll have to cut here all around the box. I set the jig and I cut all 4 corners. I cut the splines I need to reinforce the corners. I have used my thickness planer to thickness this sheet until it was 3 mm thick. I sand the bottom of the triangles to make sure they will settle well in the bottom of the grooves, and I glue the splines in the grooves. I let the glue dry and I use gross grit sandpaper until the splines are flush with the box surface. Now I use a roundover router bit to round all the corners of the box. And I sand the box with medium grit sandpaper. Now I use my homemade table saw to cut the lid of the box. And I sand the cuts I have just made. And now I can use medium grit sandpaper and then fine grit sandpaper to sand all the box. I clean the dust and I varnish the outside. I don't varnish the inside, because I've decided to stick self-adhesive felt to the inside of the box. And now I can install the hinges. In another box I made in a previous video, I put the hinges in the outside, but this time I decided to screw them in the inside of the box. Soon in another video we'll see how to cut the mortises to install these hinges. And I screw the lock hardware. And here I have the box. Thanks for watching. If you like this box, don't forget to click like and share. In my Woodworking channel you can find the videos where I show how I made all the jigs and tools I have used to make this box. And if you like my videos, thanks for subscribing to my channel.